Sort of fresh protests being reported now in Sandeshkhali. The area is clearly tense and on the boil. There's no calm in sight.
Well, fresh protests have been reported this afternoon from Sandeshkhali. In fact, villagers set up a fire on the road to block police vehicles. Earlier, in dramatic visuals that we now have, a woman, lay down in front of a vehicle, police vehicle, to prevent it from passing. And this was because of the fact that, the police had detained some people whom they believed were involved in the violence in the morning. Now, there was another attack on a Trinamool leader's home in Sandeshkhali. This was someone with someone called Mr. Maiti, who also was arrested. I beg your pardon, whose home was attacked. The police went there. In fact, the police had a strict warning for him as well, saying there have been allegations against you, and we are looking at those allegations, and you will be arrested if these allegations turn out to be true. So the police really trying to calm the tempers in Sandeshkhali. You have the top two officers of West Bengal, DGP Rajiv Kumar, and also additional Director General of Police Supratim Sarkar, South Bengal, who's also there. But in spite of that, Sandeshkhali has been on the boil, leading the police to impose Section 144 prohibitory orders once again. And, the prohibitory orders imposition has been questioned earlier as well by not just the BJP but also the courts. The courts have said, what's the use of 144 if the main accused is at large? Today there were fresh protests, not only against, the arrest or the evasion of arrest by Sheikh Shah Jahan, but also against his brother, who also now people are making allegations against, though the police say that they're looking at all allegations. Police are setting up camps, and the police say that, if we can talk to people and understand the problem, then we can resolve these issues. Otherwise, the DGP had very strong words. He said, we will establish rule of law, and rule of law does not mean that if there's been injustice against you, you go and commit injustice against another person. That is what is happening in Sandeshkhali right now. But apart from that, earlier this morning, a BJP delegation was stopped, led by Lockit Chatterjee. Lockit Chatterjee was taken away by the police in a police car. She's been taken to Lal Bazar, the Kolkata police headquarters. Before that, even earlier in the morning, a National Human Rights Commission team was allowed to go to Sandeshkhali. That team reached Sandeshkhali and met people. So it's been a day of dramatic developments surrounding the Sandeshkhali allegations. Also, we've heard, how there have been two delegations of the BJP. Now, one delegation went from another side, and that delegation also got into an argument with the police for not being allowed to go to Sandeshkhali. But like I said, Sandeshkhali remains on the boil. Fresh violence reported this afternoon. A BJP delegation stopped.
Also, just looking at these high-profile visits, just looking at the high-profile visits and delegations as well, Saurabh, this is also in a sense flaring up the violence, because of course they are trying to make their own political points there. You have the BJP delegation there. Earlier there was a TMC delegation also. But in an area that can remain sensitive, such kind of high-profile visits only add to the, the kind of tensions that we've witnessed there.
Well, it would be premature to say that the visit of delegations really is a reason for the flare-ups. Though one of the things is that there have been a lot of complaints there as well, but the fact is that today again there was a flare-up, and these flare-ups are over what seem to be land grab allegations very clearly. And today's targets was, of course, one Trinamool leader named Ismaiti, and then, of course, the other one was Sheikh Shah Jahan's brother. Now, the police say that they are trying to bring the situation under control. You have top two police officers discussing with villagers how to resolve their complaints, their issues. But at this point, really, Section 144 has been questioned, not just by the BJP but also by the High Court as well. But at this point, Sandeshkhali remains on the boil, and the police have again reimposed Section 144 of prohibitory orders. There are two areas specifically from Sandeshkhali where the current episode of violence is coming, reports of violence is coming in from. One is Bermojur, the other is Jhupkhali. these are the two areas where this incidents have taken place. The police have also rushed to those areas. Now, earlier I was mentioning that this is not the only developments. Now, earlier in the day, the ED also had raids in the morning, and this was in relation to a fresh ECIR. Now, what is an ECIR? An ECIR is the ED equivalent of an FIR, and that was registered. Now, that was in connection with some land documents, and in the context of those land documents, ED has conducted fresh raids in 6 or more locations in and around the areas of Kolkata. So that has also happened today, but really at this point, the latest update from Sandeshkhali is there continues to be flare-ups, and the latest flare-up has happened because what villagers say is that the police have detained some people whom the police believe were involved in the morning episode of violence, and the police have also asked people to stay calm, to attend the camps, to submit complaints so that they can look at resolving issues and handing back land. In fact, the DGP claims some people have already got their land back.
Okay.
So that is one of the things that is taking place in Sandeshkhali today, day of dramatic developments.
Absolutely, Saurabh, and you made a very important point that these protests are also over land grab allegations. So sort of elaborate on that and explain to our viewers who are these protesters who are protesting there in Sandeshkhali. What are the land grab allegations? You were there on ground zero as well, and there were all these men and women both who said that the kind of influence that Sheikh Shah Jahan has in the particular area is absolutely unprecedented. So talk to us about that, the sort of the anatomy of these protests that we witness every day in Sandeshkhali.
Well, these protests are now happening because a lot of the people feel that who allege land grab at the behest of Sheikh Shah Jahan and his aides now feel that they can obviously speak up, given the fact that he's no longer around, and that fear factor of a local strongman being present has dissipated, given the fact that he's on the run, he's evading arrest. So that is one thing. So what is the land grab? Well, Sandeshkhali is a riverine island, but the river is a saline water river. Now, the key accusation is that agricultural land, which is, fed by, normal water, non-saline water, in those agricultural lands, what apparently happened is that it was inundated by force with saline water. Why was it done? Well, it was because Sheikh Shah Jahan and his aides wanted to set up fish ponds, which in Bengali are called bheris. And therefore, with that happening, these lands became unsuitable for agriculture, and Sheikh Shah Jahan could then take over that land for fish ponds to engage in fish farming, which is a very lucrative business. And, there are fish exports. In fact, again, connecting the land grab is, if you go to today's ED's raids, this is in connection with a company which sources say is engaged in fish exports. And where did that fish exports come from? Allegedly, sources say, in these fish ponds connected to Sheikh Shah Jahan. So, this is precisely what the allegation is, and that's what the police are looking at. In fact, in that report that we had filed earlier, we had shown a Sheikh Shah Jahan fan club football tournament ground. Now, that was a normal football ground. It had been taken over allegedly by Sheikh Shah Jahan supporters. The administration, restored it and threw it open to the public. And, we saw that Sheikh Shah Jahan football fan club ground also now accessible to the people of Sandeshkhali, which rightfully should be accessible to them, but allegedly had been taken over by Sheikh Shah Jahan and his aides, and that's something the Director General of Police also referred to. So, obviously, that's what the land grab is about. It's about turning agricultural land into fish ponds, and these are called bheris in Bengali. And today's violence, what was set on fire were these hutments alongside these fish ponds, which were set on fire, where you store your fish, food and your equipment for fish farming. So it's a very, region, area specific kind of land grab, where, it is to force people to sort of give up their land from one type of land use to another type of land use, which is basically from agriculture to fish farming.